We hope you will enjoy watching this film. By the time you land at one of the 4 Dominican international airports, you will have left your day-to-day European lifestyle, about 7,700 kilometers behind you. Your traveling time was a blink of an eye compared to the time it took Columbus to make this trip. As Columbus, after his difficult trip, first set eyes on this country, he exclaimed, "Look and behold, the island of Hispaniola, the most beautiful land seen through human eyes." First, we would like to show you the central northern coast. Let's take a look at Puerto Plata, Sosua and Cabarete. Puerto Plata is the biggest city on the northern coast and has an estimated 300,000 inhabitants and was founded by Nicolas de Ovando. In those days, the harbour was a popular port of call for big ships. This was where they could load up with fresh water and provisions, or have repairs done. Puerto Plata, however, relatively quickly developed into a hiding place for smugglers and pirates. In 1590, this caused the King of Spain to order the complete destruction of the colony. Built in 1577, the Fortaleza San Felipe, a fortress at the entrance of the harbour, served as a prison for a long time. Juan Pablo Duarte, one of the 3 Dominican national heroes, was one of the many involuntary guests behind these walls in 1844. It took until the middle of the 18th century for Puerto Plata to be colonized again. The town soon became of significant importance as a trading post. There are many old wooden houses in this town. Some are well maintained and others are not. The Parque Central is in the center of town. In the 1880s, the pavilion, Glorieta Victoriana, was built in the center of this park. The famous Dominican Museum of Amber is housed in a beautiful colonial-style villa. Its signs remind you of the movie Jurassic Park, in which the Dominican Republic and its amber deposits play a role. Sosua, a town which used to be a sleepy fishing village, is about 30 kilometers east from Puerto Plata. Today, this town is one of the most visited tourist centers in the Dominican Republic. It is divided into 2 by 1 kilometer wide sandy beach. Cabarete is another 15 kilometers to the east. Water sports are the #1 attraction in this town. The main road runs parallel to the beach and offers some nice shopping. The beach is about 2 kilometers long and 70 meters wide, and has a fair number of lively restaurants and bars. One could spend hours here admiring the advanced kite surfers and feeling sorry for the beginners. Cabarete is one of the most visited kitesurfing destinations in the Caribbean. The World Cup is held here every year. Now let's travel west from Puerto Plata. The further we move away from the capital, the more dry and barren the land gets. Though if you want to look for the gold treasures left behind by the pirates, you will come to the right place. Playa Cofresí is supposed to contain the gold treasure left behind by the pirate it was named after. Columbus was forced to build one of his first colonies here, as one of his ships, the Santa Maria, ran aground while looking for a good place to anchor. He had to leave part of his crew behind. He left them with the task of building a fortress. But these men got into battles with the Taínos, the original inhabitants of the Dominican Republic. The Taínos ended up killing Columbus's men. In La Navidad, their fortress was destroyed. When Columbus came back from Spain and saw all the harm that had been done, he moved further east and built a new colony called La Isabela. Its foundations can still be visited today. This is an old copper plate on which the first meetings between Columbus and the Aborigines were recorded. Montecristi is close to the Haitian border, a sleepy town with approximately 111,000 inhabitants. Their main source of income is salt. This is produced by evaporating the ocean water in the nearby salt flats. Right near the coast is El Morro, a mountain which is about 237 meters high. From here, one can get a great view of the coast, the scenery and the east side of the National Park of Montecristi. The road along this national park leads to the border crossing to Haiti. From there on, it is about 100 kilometers through the cactus-grown scenery to the harbor town of Capisan.
Caribe Bienes Raíces, donde, próximo a la zona franca de Jainamosa, listo para construcción, 10.800 metros. Reparto Las Américas, 600 metros. Rancho La Cumbre, 1.600 metros. Información, 809-519-1928. Intercaribe.
Conecta con la más avanzada y ágil herramienta tecnológica que Seguros Reservas tiene para ti, desde tu dispositivo móvil de manera fácil y segura. Consulta tus pólizas, balances, realiza pagos, conoce el estatus de tus reclamaciones e infórmate sobre productos y servicios. Solicita asistencia vial y domiciliaria las 24 horas del día. App Clientes 365 conecta contigo. Disponible en Google Play y App Store. Seguros Reservas te responde.
La Superintendencia de Bancos es la institución encargada de supervisar a las entidades de intermediación financiera. Estas son bancos múltiples, bancos de ahorro y crédito, asociaciones de ahorros y préstamos y corporaciones de crédito para velar por que éstas sean solventes, transparentes y estables. Durante más de 70 años, trabaja para fortalecer el sistema financiero dominicano, capacitando a su personal técnico y administrativo, impulsando la inclusión y educación financiera y protegiendo los derechos de los usuarios del sistema. Les invitamos a conocer más en nuestra página web.
Cuando amanece, cuánto me gusta. Estrellas, tu mar, tu cielo, me gustan todo y me gusta. República Dominicana, me gusta cómo eres, me gusta tu belleza y todo lo que tienes. Dominicana, me gusta cómo eres y toda su belleza, que abre los brazos de que.
República Dominicana lo tiene.
In order to explore this inaccessible region, one would have to get on a truck. Since they can reach even the most remote farms, this would be the best way to get a realistic impression of the simple lifestyle of the country people. Sugarcane is one of the most important products of cultivation in this country. This stems from the days of the conquistadors. In the old days, the Tainos and the Africans worked as slaves in fields. Nowadays, however, this labor has been mostly taken over by Haitian immigrants. They spend up to 10 hours per day cutting sugarcane under the scorching heat of the sun. Sugarcane is the main ingredient for the national Dominican beverage, rum. First, the plants get taken to a sugarcane factory where they are processed into molasses. This is then taken to one of the numerous rum factories and made into one of the best rums in the world. It is distilled following old secret recipes. The longer it is stored, the finer it gets. Tobacco is also another significant cultivated product. The leaves are harvested and then hung out to dry in huts. They then get sold to big cigar manufacturers like Leon Khomeini's. In their factories, the leaves are resorted and mixed to different flavors. Then skilled hands with great accuracy turn them into high-class cigars. There are very few people that know how to make cigars in a fast and precise way. That is why a good cigar maker can earn up to approximately 4,000 pesos a week. Considering the average Dominican income is approximately 6,000 pesos per month, this is very good money. All these cigar manufacturers have factories in and around the Horticultural and Industrial Center of Santiago. This is the second biggest city in this country and is inhabited by approximately 550,000 inhabitants. Another hour and a half heading south over the country's new and only highway gets us to Santo Domingo. The country's capital has an estimated 2.5 million inhabitants, a generally friendly kind of people that enjoy life. The centuries of different ethnical groups mixing have produced people with skin colors ranging from white to black. The Spanish conquerors and the pirates mixed with the Indian aborigines and African slaves. Santo Domingo offers lots of shopping opportunities. For example, typical Dominican street stands. In the relatively well taken care of street shops, you will find mostly shoes and clothing. The modern shopping malls in which one can find everything, ranging from the newest Sony stereo set down to a Burger King restaurant, are things that have been built in the past 10 years. One of the many parks in the city is the Botanical Garden. Visitors are transported in small trains that take them to a garden that has been very well taken care of. The aquarium convinces people of the beauty of the many different underwater species of the Caribbean Sea. The colonial part of Santo Domingo was restored in 1992 to celebrate the 500 years since Columbus's first visit. There are many buildings from Columbus's era, as well as several museums. They give one a very good impression of how he lived 500 years ago. Before you get to go to your hotel after sightseeing, you will have to take a drive through the streets of the capital. An ongoing chaos of tons of steels over which the traffic police has a very limited level of control. Finally, getting to the hotel, one usually is pleasantly surprised. The superior class hotels offer all the comforts we know from places like Europe and the USA. Something definitely worth visiting is the only cave discotheque in the world. It is called La Guacara Taína. This is where one can dance merengue with the natives until the wee hours of the morning. Merengue is the national music of the Dominican Republic. You can hear it everywhere, all day long, in any public place, at any volume. When near a loudspeaker blasting merengue, the Dominicans can hardly control themselves. They have to dance or at least move to the rhythm. A large part of the road leading east runs right alongside the coast. In La Romana is a town by the name of Altos de Chavon. This 17th century Mediterranean-style village was built in 1977 by Charles Bluedorn and located above the Rio de Chavon. All the people that live in this village are artists. They take care of the village and they also expand on it. The village's very own amphitheatre seats about 500 spectators. Famous people like Frank Sinatra and Julio Iglesias have performed here. The Isla Saona is about 40 kilometers southeast of Altos de Chavon. Only a few people live in the tiny fishing village. It is prohibited to build hotels here. Because of that, there are very few tourists visiting, which has helped these villages keep their original character. Building an international airport here at the east side of the island was of significant importance in order to make it accessible to the tourist. This region, by the name of Punta Cana, has over 50 kilometers of wide sandy beaches. Big resorts were built here that are almost all connected to one another. Leaving Santo Domingo and heading west for about 30 kilometers, one reaches a town by the name of San Cristobal. That has approximately 30,000 inhabitants. This is where Trujillo was born, and in 1844 this was where the first Dominican Constitution was written down and signed. Continuing to drive, one comes across quite a number of unpopulated regions that is rather abnormal for the Dominican Republic. The average street on this island has lots of houses built alongside. The southwest is the only region where one can drive 20 kilometers without ever seeing a house. This has to do with a shortage of water in large parts of this area. Houses usually appear built together around an oasis in the middle of a barren area. Right before La Descubierta, there are Taino traces to be found. Between 1000 and 2000 BC, the Arawak Indians that lived in South America explored the oceans in their boats in search of good fishing grounds. This was how they made it all the way to the Caribbean and decided to settle here. Except for a few attacks from the Caribs, who were supposed to have been cannibals, they lived happy and peaceful lives until the Spaniards came. In 1492, when Columbus disembarked in Hispaniola, there were supposedly already about 1 million Tainos living in well-functioning community systems. The chiefs, called caciques, wore tokens of power in the form of golden chains and armbands. When the Spaniards came, this gold aroused deep greed in them, and the Indians were doomed. The Tainos were enslaved and had to work the sugarcane fields. Less than 100 years later, there was not a single one left. At last we get to La Descubierta. About 200 meters away from the shore, there is a sulfur well that has been transformed into a pool. The Enriquillo Lake. This saltwater lake is 300 square kilometers in size and lays about 44 meters under sea level. For about 800 pesos, the local captain will take visitors to the island in the middle of this lake. This deserted island, by the name of Isla Cabritos, is a wildlife preserve and measures about 24 square kilometers. In order to set foot on this island, one has to go through the trouble of obtaining a permit. Declaring the island a wildlife preserve had a lot to do with the fact that it is inhabited by about 250 saltwater crocodiles. They are the only big predators on the island. There are also rhinoceros iguanas living here. These herbivores can grow as long as 1.5 meters and live as families. They live in their own caves but spend their whole lifetime as a couple and pay each other mutual visits at night. The unbearable heat on this island makes a long visit impossible. The temperature here often reaches up to 60 Celsius. The ground on this island is a mix of coral stones and sand and has very little vegetation, mostly cactuses and dry bush. With these images, we'd like to say goodbye, and we hope you've enjoyed watching this documentary.
Intercaribe Bienes Raíces, donde, próximo a la zona franca de Jainamosa, listo para construcción, 10.800 metros. Reparto Las Américas, 600 metros. Rancho La Cumbre, 1.600 metros. Información, 809-519-1928. Intercaribe.
Conecta con la más avanzada y ágil herramienta tecnológica que Seguros Reservas tiene para ti, desde tu dispositivo móvil de manera fácil y segura. Consulta tus pólizas, balances, realiza pagos, conoce el estatus de tus reclamaciones e infórmate sobre productos y servicios. Solicita asistencia vial y domiciliaria las 24 horas del día. App Clientes 365 conecta contigo. Disponible en Google Play y App Store. Seguros Reservas te responde.
La Superintendencia de Bancos es la institución encargada de supervisar a las entidades de intermediación financiera. Estas son bancos múltiples, bancos de ahorro y crédito, asociaciones de ahorros y préstamos y corporaciones de crédito para velar porque éstas sean solventes, transparentes y estables. Durante más de 70 años, trabaja para fortalecer el sistema financiero dominicano, capacitando a su personal técnico y administrativo, impulsando la inclusión y educación financiera y protegiendo los derechos de los usuarios del sistema. Les invitamos a conocer más en nuestra página web.
Cuando amanece, cuánto me gusta. Rayas tu mar, tu cielo, me gustan todo de ti, me gusta. República Dominicana, me gusta como eres, me gusta tu belleza y todo lo que tienes. Dominicana, me gusta como eres y toda tu belleza, me abre los brazos de quien.
República Dominicana lo tiene.